Captain Vrekthar slouched in his command chair aboard the salvage vessel Fortunate Find, his scaled fingers drumming against the worn armrest. The ship's sensors swept the void for the 1,000th time, searching for anything worth claiming in this desolate sector. 6 months without a significant find had left his crew restless, and their finances desperate. Captain. His sensor operator, a young Zelaxian named Mira, straightened suddenly at her station. Her luminescent antennae quivered with excitement. "I'm picking up something large at the edge of our range. It's definitely a ship, but I've never seen energy signatures quite like these before." Vrekthar leaned forward, his interest piqued. "Show me." The main view screen flickered to life, revealing a distant shape silhouetted against the stars. The vessel was massive, easily 3 times the size of their salvage ship, with an unfamiliar design that spoke of advanced technology. But most intriguingly, it appeared to be completely powered down. "Life signs?" Vrekthar asked, already calculating the potential profit from such a find. "None detected, Captain," Mira replied, her fingers dancing across her console. "But these readings, the hull is composed of materials I've never encountered before, and there are energy traces that don't match anything in our database." First Engineer Korax, a bulky Mantodian, clicked his mandibles thoughtfully. "Unknown tech means unknown value, Captain. Could be worth a fortune to the right buyer." Vrekthar's pupils dilated at the thought. One good score could set them up for years. "Any warning beacons? Distress signals?" "Nothing, sir," Mira confirmed. "It's just sitting there." "Too good to be true," muttered Security Chief Dax from his tactical station. The gruff Thoraxians' natural paranoia had saved their hides more than once. "Captain, I strongly recommend we report this to the Galactic Salvage Authority first." Vrekthar barked out a laugh. "And let them claim 80% of the find." "I don't think so." He straightened in his chair, decision made. "Plot an intercept course, Mira. Korax, prep your boarding team. Whatever this ship is, we're claiming salvage rights." As they drew closer, the vessel's true scale became apparent. Its hull was a smooth, dark material that seemed to drink in the starlight. No visible weapons emplacements or external machinery marred its sleek lines, but something about its design suggested barely contained power. "Still no response to our hails," Mira reported. "But Captain, I'm detecting internal power signatures now. They're faint, but they're there. This ship isn't completely dead." "Automated systems, probably," Korax suggested, though he didn't sound entirely convinced. "Most abandoned ships maintain some basic functions." "Maintain position at 500 meters, Vrekthar ordered. "Korax, take your team across in the shuttle. Basic salvage protocols. Secure the bridge and engineering first, then we'll worry about cataloging our new fortune." The boarding shuttle detached from the Fortunate Find with practiced efficiency, carrying Korax and his team of 4 toward their mysterious prize. Vrekthar watched their approach on the main screen, anticipation building in his chest. Something about this ship felt different from their usual salvage operations. This could be the score that changed everything. "Captain," Mira's voice had taken on an odd tone. "I'm detecting changes in the ship's power signature. It's rising." Before Vrekthar could respond, a soft blue glow began to emanate from previously invisible seams in the target vessel's hull. The dark surface seemed to ripple, as if the metal itself was coming alive. "Korax, aboard approach." Vrekthar shouted into the comm. "Get back here now." But it was too late. A beam of pure white light lanced out from the mysterious ship, enveloping the shuttle in its brilliance. When it faded, the shuttle hung motionless in space, all its systems dark. "What just happened?" Vrekthar demanded, his scales bristling with alarm. "Mira, report. The shuttle's systems are completely offline, but the crew's life signs are stable." Mira answered, her antennae now rigid with tension. "Captain, we're being scanned. Something is reading every system on our ship." The main view screen flickered, and a symbol appeared. a circular design containing markings none of them recognized. Below it, text began to appear in perfect galactic standard. Unyielding, IZD attempt DETCTE, INITIATYNG first CONTAKET, HUROTOSIVOS. Stand by for representative of the United Earth Defense Force. United Earth, Vrekthar whispered, his blood running cold. They had all heard the rumors, of course. Stories of a species so dangerous that the Galactic Council had cordoned off an entire sector of space to contain them. But those were just stories, weren't they? The mysterious ship's surface rippled again, and a hangar door materialized where smooth hull had been moments before. Something was emerging. A smaller vessel, sleek and predatory in design. Captain, Dax's voice was unusually quiet. I suggest we prepare ourselves to meet the owners of that ship, and perhaps to beg their forgiveness. Vrekthar could only nod, his dreams of easy fortune evaporating like mist. They had wanted to find something valuable in the void. Instead, they had found humanity. And now they would learn why the Council had tried so hard to keep the species contained. The smaller vessel that emerged from the mysterious ship was unlike anything Vrekthar had ever seen. It moved with impossible grace, covering the distance between their ships in seconds. No engine flare marked its passage, just that same subtle blue glow they'd observed earlier. They're requesting docking clearance, Mira announced, her antennae twitching nervously. Their transmission includes full technical specifications for their docking mechanism, and adapters for every known ship configuration in the galaxy. They've studied us, Dax growled. All this time we thought they were contained. They were watching. Vrekthar straightened his uniform, trying to project confidence he didn't feel. Grant them clearance. Dax, meet our guests at the airlock. Standard diplomatic protocols. He paused, then added, and no weapons. Let's not make this worse than it already is. The docking procedure was flawless, the human ship matching their lock with precision that spoke of extensive experience. Vrekthar listened to the subtle vibrations through his ship's hull, counting the seconds until he would face whatever emerged from that airlock. The inner door cycled open with a soft hiss. 2 figures stepped through, and Vrekthar felt his secondary heart skip a beat. They were bipedal, roughly humanoid in shape, but that's where any resemblance to known species ended. Their environmental suits were a marvel of engineering, not the bulky survival gear he was used to, but something that looked more like a second skin, dark material flowing with subtle patterns of light. The taller of the two reached up, touching something at their neck. Their helmets seemed to dissolve, revealing a face that would haunt Vrekthar's dreams. Pink-tinted skin, fur concentrated oddly on the top of their head, and eyes that seemed to contain entire galaxies of intelligence and calculation. Captain Vrekthar, I presume. The human's voice was melodious, almost pleasant. I'm Commander Sarah Chen of the UES Horizon. I believe you were attempting to salvage my ship. The shorter human's helmet remained in place, but their stance suggested barely contained amusement. Vrekthar noticed their hand rested casually on what was probably a weapon. Though like everything else about these humans, its design was unfamiliar. There seems to have been a misunderstanding, Vrekthar managed. We detected no life signs, no active beacons. Under Galactic Salvage Code, Section. Oh, we're quite familiar with the code, Commander Chen interrupted smoothly. We're also familiar with how certain parties choose to interpret it. Your reputation precedes you, Captain. The fortunate find has been involved in several controversial salvage operations over the past few years. Vrekthar's scales rippled with alarm. How did they know? Those incidents have been carefully scrubbed from official records. What I find more interesting, Chen continued, pacing the docking bay with casual confidence, is how quickly you jumped at the chance to salvage an unknown vessel. No warning beacons, you say? Did you consider that perhaps the beacons were simply operating on frequencies your sensors weren't designed to detect? The second human touched their neck, revealing a younger face with darker coloring. 8 different warning broadcasts, actually, she said, her tone professional but with an undercurrent of steel. Standard galactic frequencies, plus 6 others we've developed. You either have the worst sensors in the sector, or you chose to ignore them, Chen finished. Which brings us to an interesting question. What exactly were you hoping to find aboard our research vessel? Research vessel. The word sent a chill down Vrekthar's spine. He'd heard stories about human research, whispered rumors about technologies that defied the laws of physics as the galaxy understood them. We're a simple salvage operation, he insisted, aware of how weak the excuse sounded. If we've violated your territory, we'll gladly pay any fines. A soft chime interrupted him. Chen glanced at a display that appeared in the air before her. Another casual demonstration of technology far beyond anything Vrekthar had seen. Your engineer, Korax, is quite persistent, she remarked. He's already attempted to override 3 different security systems on our ship. Quite impressive, actually. Wrong algorithms entirely, of course, but the creativity is admirable. Vrekthar's blood ran cold. Please, my crew are perfectly safe, Chen assured him. In fact, they're probably learning more about advanced engineering in these few minutes than they have in their entire careers. We believe in teaching moments, Captain. The younger human, whose name badge identified her as Lieutenant Zhang, produced a small device that projected a holographic document. We have 2 options here. Option 1. We report this incident to the Galactic Council. Your ship is impounded, your crew faces charges, and several of those controversial operations come to light. Chen picked up smoothly. Option 2. You and your crew agree to participate in a cultural exchange program. You've shown initiative, resource management skills, and a willingness to take risks. These are qualities we value. Your attempted theft could become a legitimate partnership. Vrekthar blinked all 3 sets of eyelids. Partnership. The galaxy is changing, Captain, Chen said, her expression serious now. The Council's containment policy was never going to last forever. We've been preparing for wider contact, setting up programs to ease the transition. Your crew just volunteered to be part of the first wave. And my alternative is prison, Vrekthar stated flatly. Chen's smile returned, sharp as a plasma cutter. Consider it motivation to expand your horizons. Besides, I think you'll find working with us far more profitable than salvage operations. Legally profitable. A new message flashed in the air between them. Crew of Shuttle 1 requesting immediate return to Fortunate Find. Multiple engineering epiphanies reported. Urgent need to update equipment specifications. Lieutenant Zhang actually laughed. See, your crew is already embracing the learning opportunity. What do you say, Captain? Ready to be part of something bigger than stripping abandoned ships? Vrekthar looked between the 2 humans, these representatives of a species that had turned his attempted theft into a job offer. He thought about the smooth way they'd disabled his shuttle, the casual display of technologies he barely understood, and the absolute confidence with which they operated. The galaxy was indeed changing. The only question was whether he would change with it or be left behind in the void. Where do I sign? He asked, and watched the future unfold in Commander Chen's stellar eyes. The next few hours aboard the UES Horizon felt like something from a fever dream. Vrekthar watched as his crew, initially terrified of their human hosts, transformed into wide-eyed students of technologies they could barely comprehend. Korax hadn't stopped taking notes since returning from his unauthorized inspection, his mandibles clicking with excitement as he studied systems that seemed to ignore the basic laws of physics. It's not actually breaking any laws, Lieutenant Zhang explained as she led them through engineering spaces that seemed to fold in on themselves in impossible ways. We just found better ones. Your understanding of space-time is like trying to navigate an ocean by only looking at its surface. Mira, their sensor operator, was practically vibrating with enthusiasm as she studied the horizon's detection systems. "These can see through hyperspace," she exclaimed, her antennae glowing bright enough to cast shadows. "They don't just detect ships in normal space. They can track their quantum signatures across dimensional boundaries." Commander Chen moved through her ship with the quiet pride of someone showing off a beloved home. "We've had centuries to refine our understanding of the universe," she explained to Vrekthar as they observed his crew's integration. "The Council's containment policy actually did us a favor. While they were trying to keep us isolated, we were free to develop without external pressures or preconceptions." "But why reveal yourselves now?" Vrekthar asked. "Why to us, of all people?" Chen's smile held secrets. "Would you believe you're not the first salvage crew to discover one of our ships? We've been using these encounters to identify potential partners, groups with the initiative to explore restricted space, and the skills to recognize valuable technology. You've been testing us. All of us. In a way, the galaxy is about to change dramatically, Captain. The Council's influence is waning. New powers are emerging in the outer sectors. We needed to know who we could trust when the barriers finally come down." A soft chime interrupted them. Lieutenant Zhang approached, her expression professional but with an undercurrent of excitement. "Commander, the quantum beacon is detecting ripples. It's starting." Chen nodded, then turned to Vrekthar. "Care to witness history in the making, Captain?" The Horizon's bridge was a marvel of elegant design. No banks of cluttered control stations or tangles of emergency systems, just smooth surfaces that came alive with information when needed and chairs that adapted to any species' physiology. The main view screen showed normal space, but with layers of data Vrekthar could barely follow overlaid across the stars. "What exactly are we watching for?" he asked. "The real reason we let ourselves be found," Chen replied. "In about 30 seconds, the quantum barriers between dimensions are going to thin. We've been tracking these events for decades, learning to predict them. They're like doors opening between different versions of space-time." Dax, who had remained suspiciously quiet during their tour, finally spoke up. "Different versions? You mean parallel universes? Close enough for government work," Zhang quipped, her fingers dancing through holographic controls. "We learned early on that there's not just one human civilization out there. There are countless versions of Earth, countless versions of humanity, all developing along different paths. Some peaceful, some warlike, some so advanced they barely qualify as human anymore. The Council's containment policy was based on encountering one of the more aggressive versions," Chen added. "They thought they were protecting the galaxy from humanity as a whole. They didn't realize they were dealing with just one facet of who we could be." The viewport shimmed, reality seeming to ripple like the surface of a pond. Vrekthar felt a sensation like static electricity rush across his scales. "Quantum breach in 3, 2, 1. Zhang counted down. Space split open. There was no other way to describe it. A line of pure light appeared in the void, widening into an aperture that defied description. Through it, Vrekthar could see another sky, different stars, different patterns, and ships, dozens of them, their designs as varied as their crews must be. "Say hello to the Multiversal Alliance," Chen said softly. "Humanity not just from our Earth, but from thousands of others. We've been working together for decades, sharing knowledge, preventing conflicts, preparing for the day when we could reveal ourselves to the broader galaxy." The ships emerging from the breach were incredible. Some seemed built of pure energy, others looked organic. Some defied conventional geometry entirely. Yet all of them moved with that same precise grace Vrekthar had noticed in the horizon. "This is why we chose crews like yours," Chen continued. "The galaxy needs people who can adapt, who can see past old limitations. The Council tried to contain humanity because they feared what we might become. They never considered that isolation would just give us time to become something greater than they imagined." A new signal chimed through the bridge. One of the ships from the breach was hailing them. Its design reminded Vrekthar of crystalline fractals, eternally unfolding. Right on schedule, Chen smiled. Captain, would you and your crew care to attend a meeting of the Alliance? Fair warning, it might permanently alter your understanding of reality. Vrekthar looked at his crew. Korax was still frantically taking notes. Mira's antennae were glowing like miniature stars. Even Dax seemed to have lost his perpetual scowl, replaced by an expression of wonder. They had come looking for salvage, for one big score to change their fortunes. Instead, they'd found something far more valuable, a future bigger than they'd ever imagined. Lead the way, Commander, Vrekthar said. I believe we have a lot to learn. The transfer to the crystalline ship happened without Vrekthar feeling any sensation of movement. One moment they were on the horizon's bridge. The next, they stood in a vast chamber that seemed to exist in more dimensions than his mind could process. The walls, if they could be called that, shifted between states of matter, sometimes transparent, sometimes flowing like liquid light. Representatives from what must have been hundreds of different versions of humanity filled the space. Some looked similar to Commander Chen, while others were so divergent from the baseline that they barely seemed related. Beings of pure energy conversed casually with humans who had evolved for life in deep space, their bodies adapted to survive in vacuum. Cybernetically enhanced versions stood alongside others who seemed to phase in and out of normal spacetime. Try not to stare, Lieutenant Zhang whispered to Vrekthar's crew. They're all technically human, just different paths of evolution and development. Welcome to the Nexus, a new voice said. The speaker approached their group, a human whose skin seemed to contain swirling galaxies, their eyes reflecting light that hadn't been invented yet. I am Coordinator Patel of Timeline 2187. Commander Chen has spoken highly of your potential. Vrekthar struggled to find his voice. Our potential. Indeed. Patel's smile somehow conveyed warmth despite their otherworldly appearance. You see, Captain, humanity's greatest strength isn't our technology or our adaptability. It's our ability to imagine possibilities and then make them real. The chamber's center suddenly illuminated, displaying a holographic map of the galaxy unlike anything Vrekthar had ever seen. It showed not just physical space, but layers of quantum probability, temporal currents, and dimensional intersections. The Galactic Council, Patel continued, built their civilization on the principle of stability. Change is controlled, progress is regulated, and anything truly revolutionary is contained and studied until it can be safely integrated or permanently isolated. Like they tried to do with Earth, Mira observed, her antennae twitching as she studied the map. Exactly, Chen agreed. But they didn't realize that by trying to contain us, they were actually giving us exactly what we needed: time and space to develop on our own terms. The map shifted, showing the movement of civilizations across millennia. Vrekthar watched as empires rose and fell, while Earth, supposedly isolated, was actually reaching out across dimensions, connecting with alternate versions of itself, building something entirely new. The Council's barrier was like a one-way mirror, Zhang explained. They thought they were watching us, but we were studying them, learning from their successes and failures. Every time they checked on us, we fed them exactly what they expected to see: a civilization slowly developing along predictable lines. But now, Patel gestured, and the map fast-forwarded to the present. The galaxy has reached a critical point. The Council's method of controlled progress can't keep up with the challenges emerging from deep space. Their barrier between humanity and the galaxy wasn't just holding us back, it was holding them back. Korax, who had been uncharacteristically quiet, clicked his mandibles thoughtfully. The quantum signature tracking, the dimensional breach technology. You're not just exploring space, you're rebuilding it. Smart, Chen smiled. We're not here to conquer or dominate. We're here to help the galaxy evolve. Every version of humanity represented in this chamber has faced different challenges, developed different solutions. Together, we've learned that the universe is far more mutable than anyone suspected. The map zoomed in on their current location, showing energy patterns that made Vrekthar's head hurt. The supposedly empty sector around Earth was actually a web of quantum corridors and dimensional intersections, all carefully maintained and monitored. "This is why we've been recruiting," Paddle explained. "We need people who can think beyond conventional limitations, who can adapt to new paradigms. The galaxy is about to experience changes that will make faster-than-light travel look primitive in comparison." "And you want us to help?" Dax asked, his natural suspicion finally reasserting itself. "We're salvage operators, not scientists or diplomats." "You're explorers," Chen corrected. "You looked at a restricted zone and saw opportunity. You examined unknown technology and tried to understand it. Yes, you were trying to steal it." Her smile took any sting from the words, but the important part is that you weren't afraid to reach for something beyond your current circumstances. A soft chime resonated through the chamber. The various representatives began moving with purpose, taking positions around the central map. "The Council is about to detect the quantum disturbances from our breach," Patel announced. "They'll send ships to investigate, expecting to find evidence of human aggression or expansion. Instead, they're going to find something far more interesting, proof that their entire understanding of reality needs to be updated. And that's where we come in." Vrekthar asked, beginning to understand. "Exactly," Chen confirmed. "The galaxy needs guides for what's coming. People who can bridge the gap between the old way of thinking and the new possibilities. Your crew has already shown they can adapt to revolutionary concepts. How would you like to help others do the same?" The map shifted again, showing possibilities branching out like the roots of some cosmic tree. Vrekthar saw futures where the galaxy evolved beyond its current limitations, where barriers between species and civilizations dissolved in favor of something greater. All because humanity had turned isolation into an opportunity for unprecedented growth. "When do we start?" he asked, and felt the future shift around them. The Council ships arrived exactly as predicted, a fleet of sleek vessels representing the galaxy's ruling powers. Their weapons were charged, their sensors probing for signs of human aggression. What they found instead was a gathering that defied their understanding of reality itself. Receiving transmission from the Council flagship, Lieutenant Zhang announced. The crystalline chamber's walls rippled, forming a window into the Council vessel's command deck. The assembled representatives, beings from dozens of species that govern known space, stared in shock at the gathering before them. "This is High Commissioner Vextal of the Galactic Council," a tall, ethereal being announced, their voice carefully controlled despite their obvious confusion. "You stand in violation of containment protocols established for the protection of all species. Explain yourselves." Coordinator Patel stepped forward, their galaxy-filled skin swirling with new constellations. "Protection, Commissioner, or control. Your council has spent centuries trying to regulate progress, contain innovation, and maintain what you call stability. But the universe doesn't work that way. It evolves, it expands, it transforms. The human containment was necessary," another council member insisted. "Your species' development was too unpredictable, too rapid, too different from what you could control." Commander Chen interrupted smoothly. She gestured at the assembled representatives of humanity's multiple timelines. "You tried to contain one version of humanity, not realizing that we exist across infinite possibilities. Each path of development, each choice, each moment of innovation created new branches of potential." Vrekthar watched as understanding slowly dawned on the council members' faces. His own crew stood among the human representatives now, no longer outsiders but part of something unprecedented. "While you thought you were containing us," Paddle continued, "we were reaching across dimensions, connecting with our alternate selves, sharing knowledge and technology that evolved along different paths. Your barrier didn't trap us, it gave us a safe space to become something new." The central map activated again, but this time it showed more than just the galaxy. Layer upon layer of reality became visible, each one containing its own version of humanity, its own path of development. And connecting them all, a network of quantum corridors and dimensional gateways that the Council had never suspected existed. Impossible, one of the Council members whispered. This violates every law of physics we know. No, Korak stepped forward, his engineer's enthusiasm overwhelming his usual reserve. It doesn't violate the laws. It reveals better ones. They showed us. The universe isn't limited by what we think is possible. It's limited by what we can imagine and then make real. High Commissioner Vextel's expression shifted from shock to something closer to awe. All this time, we thought we were protecting the galaxy from humanity. But you were preparing to protect the galaxy from what's coming. Chen finished. Show them, Lieutenant. Zhang manipulated the holographic controls, and the map zoomed out further. Beyond the known galaxy, beyond even the dimensional barriers, something was moving. Vast shapes that defied comprehension, entities that existed in states of reality the Council had never dreamed of. The universe is waking up, Paddle explained softly. Changes are coming that will make our differences seem insignificant. The Council's way, controlling progress, containing innovation, won't be enough to face what's out there. We need to evolve, all of us, together. Vrekthar stepped forward, surprising himself. My crew and I, we came here looking for salvage. What we found instead was a future bigger than anything we could have imagined. The Council tried to create stability through control. Humanity found a better way. Advancement through connection. The Council members conferred among themselves, their carefully maintained composure cracking in the face of revelations that changed everything they thought they knew. Finally, High Commissioner Vextel spoke again. What are you proposing? Partnership, Chen replied simply. Real partnership, not controlled integration. Humanity, all versions of humanity, working with the galaxy to prepare for what's coming. No more barriers, no more containment. Just different species, different civilizations, learning to reach beyond what they thought was possible. And if we refuse? Patel's smile was both gentle and firm. You won't, because you can already see the truth. The universe is changing. We can face what's coming together, or we can fall separately. The choice is yours, but the future is already in motion. The chamber fell silent as the Council members absorbed the magnitude of what they were being offered. Vrekthar felt Mira's antenna brush his shoulder, trembling with excitement. Dax had finally holstered his weapon, his paranoia replaced by wonder. Korax was already deep in discussion with a group of human engineers, their languages mixing as they shared ideas that would have been impossible hours ago. Perhaps, High Commissioner Vextel said slowly, it is time for the Council to evolve as well. The crystalline walls of the chamber pulsed with light, as if reality itself was celebrating the moment. Humanity had done more than escape containment. They had transformed it into an opportunity to reshape the galaxy's future. And now, standing among representatives from across multiple timelines, dimensions, and species, Vrekthar understood why the stories about humans had always contained an element of awe. They hadn't just imagined a better future, they had found a way to make it real. The dawn of a new era had arrived, and it was more magnificent than anyone could have predicted.